So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? Am I the antagonist for calling my neighbor a rancid genital after she reported my pet penguin to the homeowners association? So as always, we read the story in its entirety, then I, the decoy, will give you the Decoy Court where we kind of decide who the true antagonist is, even though probably my haircut and my terrible beard is the true antagonist. But let's go ahead and get to the story right now and see what's going on. So OP wrote, "My neighborhood is in a homeowners association, unfortunately. However, this homeowners association was created 10 years ago, and about 40% of the neighborhood refused to join the homeowners association, including the previous homeowners who sold me the house. Thank God. They did, because our homeowners association is a bunch of suburban fascists, little Mussolinis who dictate everything we do. I have a pet penguin. Some Brazilian guy had it when I lived here, and he didn't want it anymore, so he gave it to me. He said he rescued it from some abusive owners and is unfit to live in a zoo or be put back in the wild, as it never grew up with other penguins. I have a massive pond in my backyard where my turtles and carp and koi live. My fish are way too big for the penguin to eat, so I'm not worried about that. And here we got filtered water for him. He's really happy here. I'm not friends with anyone on the homeowners association board because they're a bunch of rancid genitals, so I never invite them to barbecues or parties I host. Before you call me the antagonist for that, the homeowners association right now is trying to take away a woman's house because she is 4 months late on the homeowners association fees. They raised the fees by 25%, and she is currently having heart issues, and all of her money is being spent on surgery. So yeah, forget those people. There's a woman, Teresa, who actively roams the neighborhood and posts violations on Nextdoor, and she often goes onto people's property to take photos. I have, of course, not friends with her either, and she went over into my backyard and was taking photos of my pet penguin and pond. I heard a bunch of noise and I walked over to see her chasing my penguin around trying to grab him. I told her that she has 30 seconds to leave my property before I forcibly remove her. She left but posted all of it on Nextdoor, and the homeowners association is now trying to find me. I don't know if they forgot I'm not part of it, so when they came to my door and I explained to them I'm not a part of the homeowners association, so forget you and get out of here, and I slammed the door in their face. The homeowners association is now trying to get the local authorities involved because they don't like my pond. It's against their regulations to own ponds, and they're trying to make me get rid of it. They don't like the penguin or my turtles or koi. They keep trying to talk to me on compromising, and every time I yell at them to get out of here and go to away. The last time they brought some paperwork of them trying to argue that what I'm doing is not allowed and I must be considerate to the community, and I knocked it out of their hands. Homeowners association members and Teresa are complaining about me on Nextdoor, and it started a massive dispute which is dividing the neighborhood. Most of them are pissed about the homeowners association because my crap doesn't bother anyone, and there's actual issues they're disregarding, like broken sidewalks and other facilities that need maintenance. I'm having a barbecue and Karen is saying I'm bullying her by not inviting her since most of the neighborhood is coming. A couple of other people backed her up, and I said she's the massive rancid genital for reporting everyone's BS violations and trying to take away my pets so she can just forget herself, the nasty genital. Edit. Since the first commenter didn't understand why I'm not in the homeowners association, Penguin Vid is in the comments. Links in the posts always cause my posts to have issues. So as always, you gotta take the case and rush it over to Decoy Court, even though this is one of the more ridiculous stories going on right now. But I guess it would make sense why the homeowners association wouldn't want you to have a penguin, and why it would probably be written in their rules. You know, you're taking it out of its natural environment, it's not having the proper space or the tools to take care of it, but neither of those concerns are really applying here. You know, the penguin couldn't live in the wild, OP is taking care of the penguin, and the penguin would probably die otherwise. So it just kind of reminds me of, like, you know, the stories about PETA, who are allegedly supposed to be in favor of treating animals well and humanely, and then they take animals away from their owners and then just, you know, pat themselves on the back, but then they euthanize the animal later on because there's no place to put it. You know, this person Teresa here seems to have all the time in the world to criticize OP for having the penguin, but I imagine she has absolutely zero plans on how to take care of the penguin if they're evicted. It's not like the penguin can lose this home and just go move to the inner city and start breakdancing by the pier to make some cash. Like, no, this is the only place the penguin can live in this state and live in peace. So it's not going to do well in the wild. It won't do well in the zoo amongst the other penguins. He's pretty much screwed. And now the idea that, you know, they keep on harassing OP with the homeowners association, talking about the pond now, and it's becoming this whole other issue. It's just like, you know, now it's become this Karen situation where, you know, quote unquote, I've decided what you're going to do, so I'm going to keep on calling managers everywhere until someone makes you do what I want you to do, which is ridiculous. And two, Teresa just needs a hobby, you know? When people find themselves with too much free time, they decide they want to start deciding how other people spend their free time as well. I'm sure if Teresa was writing the third part of like the most highly anticipated Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Shades of Grey crossover fan fiction novel that was getting, 500,000 downloads a chapter, and her Patreon was raising over $1 million, Teresa would not have either the time or the motivation to chase around a penguin by a pond. I'm just saying. So the decoy defense over here has to be, OP seems pretty obsessed with the idea is the homeowners association. They're like, little Mussolinis, and they're fascist. And, she got her penguin from some Brazilian guy. And, the guy was telling her, you can't take the penguin to the zoo, and it can't go to the wild. It has to live by this pond that can see over the entire town. And, OP didn't write, but she has terrible eyesight and just can't see anything at all. So what OP doesn't know and isn't willing to say is she actually just owns this little surveillance bot. This little robotic penguin roams around and snitches on all those little fascists and Mussolinis just how OP likes it. And, I could see going down this path at some point in time. I have to realize that the decoy defense has just gone too far, and I think that this may be it. So, let's just get back to reality of the story itself. Let's go ahead and say that, judging them on the situation, I'm going to say that they're not the antagonists, and just Teresa needs a life that doesn't involve trying to get involved in other people's lives. Hopefully she can find a way to become a positive member of the community instead of becoming this nagging snitch that's just in everybody's business. The simple fact that they're complaining that they're being quote unquote bullied because she's not invited to a party from someone that she's actively trying to hurt shows they just have such little self-awareness. And, sad to say, when people get to a certain point in their life, they oftentimes just are past changing, and they are who they are, and there's no way that they're going to see the error in their ways and start getting invited to barbecues and having more fun because, being a Karen just sounds exhausting without any sense of real accomplishment ever, and that's just a sad way to live your life. So if you're looking for some sense of accomplishment today, make sure you subscribe today to DecoyNoise with the notifications on, so you can feel like you accomplished something good, and you're not a Karen, you're a Decoy Coy right now. But let's take a short break, and hopefully you can give me your thoughts of the story and what you really think it is, and if the little robot penguin has gone too far on DecoyNoise. If you're unsubscribing because you hate robot penguin, go ahead and let me know. But let's go ahead and highlight the top comment of the day, which was from KB saying, I listen to the stories I've heard before on your channel because you changed the experience that much. I love it, which I appreciate that you appreciate me as well. But the idea that since I have limited time to record, I oftentimes need to find 4 good posts, record them in one day, and scatter them throughout the week. So oftentimes, if you're watching Reddit on YouTube or just reading Am I the Antagonist off the source, you've probably seen this story 3 to 4 days ago, and I'm just kind of old news. But hopefully with the Decoy Court, the decoy defense, I'm giving you some sort of a different experience. So I appreciate that you guys are liking that, giving me feedback, saying that you like the direction of the channel, and just, let me know how you like it. If you like it so much, go ahead and check out Decoy Voice. The link will be in the description of a channel that I'm doing that's going to be based more on just regular stuff out there in the real world, but the same decoy court and defense that you can only get here. So we'll take the break and go to the top comment right here, because the top comment is, file a criminal trespass against her with the intention to commit stock theft. A penguin is considered, like almost all pets, to be classed as property, and her attempting to take it as stock theft. Here, 5 to 10 years inside, no option of a fine per animal because it is a massive problem. Same for injuring stock while attempting to take it. So that would make sense, the idea that, if you can classify the penguin the same thing you would do as like a cattle, a chicken, a steer, a turkey or something, where someone's trying to steal what is it's your pet, but it's actually your stock because you're making living off of the eggs the chicken are laying, the milk that the cow is producing. So if you can kind of get them classified as that, I understand why that would probably be a good escalation of the situation, saying, I'm not messing around. You're not just chasing around a penguin because you got nothing better to do. You are committing a big crime right now. So I like that was a good, a valuable top comment. And the next reply is saying, get cameras, OP, along with no trespassing and camera notice signs. Make sure you back up the tapes and that they have the date markings. Why? Because you can bury these idiots when the time comes. Which is very true, but it's just one of those things that you hope that you don't have to take the time out of your day to prove you're right. Because the thing is, though, is Karenism's got this way because they have nothing better to do other than to meddle in other people's business, and there's nothing fun going on. They're not writing that big crossover Harry Potter 50 Shades of Grey fanfiction novel where they're making all this money and have adoring fans sending things and buying stuff off their Amazon wish list every day. They're just not doing anything better. Hopefully OP has something better to do other than being this Karen in the situation. So do they really have time to be setting up cameras, putting dates, getting court documents to get them pissed off? They just want this homeowners association to F off and leave them alone. So let's go ahead and read one more top comment saying, not the antagonist. I despise people like Teresa and despise homeowners associations. Both are always more concerned about what everyone else is doing rather than what they're doing. They're more annoying than your pond or pet. Personally, if you were my neighbor, I'd try my best to be your friend so I could meet your cool penguin buddy. If she continues to go on your property, I'd start documenting with video and have her charge a trespass and get a restraining order, which is probably the thing that OP is going to have to do at some point in time. Very sad that they have to actually take time out of their fun, busy day to start making sure people aren't going onto their property chasing their penguin around, which is kind of messed up. But I mean, the idea is, yeah, everybody would like to meet their penguin unless it's robot surveillance penguin that's going to snitch on you to the government or whatever. But I have no idea. I just think that robot is a funny looking thing. But top comments are giving us good information and good advice, but maybe controversial comments will give us more robot penguin content. But the top reply is, you're the antagonist for having a pet penguin. Someone's backyard is not a good life for wild animals. And here's the thing is, if you live in Los Angeles like me, the maximum backyard you're looking at is, I don't know what square footage is, but maybe enough for a trampoline or a pool. Not much more than that. And that'd be a terrible area for a wild animal. But they're saying they have turtles, koi, and carp, which, like, having fish in a pond is one thing, but a koi fish and a carp, they're huge animals. So it's like that pond has to be pretty sizable. And maybe they live in Kentucky or something where the backyard can be 1 to 2 acres. And they're just like, you can't even see your next neighbor. And there's no street lights on the street. It's just this weird rural area. And I pronounced that word correctly, I hope. But just the idea is maybe this is the perfect environment for this penguin to live in. This penguin was born in captivity, so he can't go back to the penguin universe, and no zoo would have them and all that other stuff. So yeah, maybe it's not a good place for the wild animals, but that's a little bit of projection right there. But let's go ahead and read the next top or controversial comment saying, you're the antagonist for keeping a penguin as a pet. The responsible thing to do would bring him to a wildlife rehabilitation or exotic animal rescue. I know you think you're doing right by him, but there's no way you're providing adequate care. It's so irresponsible to keep exotic animals as pets. To be honest, if the homeowners association is willing to stay on the issue, the local authorities will almost definitely remove the animal and you will receive a big fine. It's not cool, man. Do what's right for the animal. So I don't know enough about the situation to be right, but maybe this person's an expert and I'm not. But I would like to think that maybe OP has a better grasp as to what this penguin's needs are as opposed to somebody else. How do we know they don't live in like northern Russia, which this is actually the best climate for the penguin too? But let's say, okay, so the next reply to that saying, let's fact check this awful post. 1, he's not a member of the homeowners association. They can't do crap to him. 2, you have no idea where he lives and it's fine to own penguins there. I'm gonna assume you're American with the entitled, I know what I'm talking about despite zero knowledge of any of these topics attitude, and point out the penguins as pets are strictly illegal. So they have some fine law stuff. It does not appear that owning a penguin is illegal in any state and is explicitly allowed in one. Would I mean that there is a state with penguins on a list of banned pets and one state has penguins on the list of exotic animals you're allowed to own? All penguins of a species are protected animals and it's illegal to purchase them for that reason, but given one by a Brazilian guy seems to be a loophole. Point you're trying to be, you're likely wrong and I have no idea what you're talking about. So, and then they was talking about Tiger King and how it's legal to own those animals. So to not dive into too much of the idea of, is it right for them to have the penguin or this or that? It's just one of those situations where it's like, I think OP's calling out people for being Karenism, sticking their nose in someone saying, you're wrong, I'm right, I want to tell you why I'm right. And the idea is this person kind of doubled down on that sentiment saying like, I know better than you. I know, even though I just had a paragraph knowledge of your penguin and the situation, what your pond looks like, the climate you live in, the legality of owning it, and where the penguin is, can live in the wild, and it will go to a sanctuary, and how well funded those sanctuaries, how often do they euthanize them? No. Forget all that. We're just going to say, I know better than you because I have no idea why they think they would know better than situations by saying that you need to give that penguin up. Not providing any actual concrete step-by-step. Here's step 1. Here's the address. Here's who to call. You talk to Larry. He picks up the penguin. We have good nutrition. And they know none of that. They're just trying to say, I think you're wrong, so I'm going to tell you why you're wrong, with no actual facts, but just this high and mighty condescending conversation that we're having over here. I think this person's wrong. I understand why they got heavily downvoted. So as always, if you like the Decoy Noise, the Decoy Court, the Decoy Voice, all that stuff, make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on, and maybe checking out the other channel as well, because it's going to have the same type of content on more serious topics. But as always, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you hanging out with me and, you know, giving me your feedback, giving me your comments. I will try to highlight one commenter per video now, just because you guys are giving me good feedback, and I would like to, you know, keep the conversation going on between me and you guys. You've seen that, you know, the videos are getting incrementally better. I think I finally fixed my gasping for air situation with the microphone. The gain was really high. None of that technical talk. Make sure you're sharing these videos or the channel with someone you know that would like the content. But as always, just put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of Decoy Noise coming up next.